Okay, so hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel today. Something a little bit different. We're going to sort of go through my tactics in the Summer Cup win that I had as a manager last summer. So we're sort of looking here. Here's how Helston, our opposition, was setting up. So it was sort of like a 4-3-3 almost. This is sort of how they set up. Of course, their goalie was very much a keeper who sort of stayed around this area. These sort of players were getting up and down here and creating chances. The player out here was often coming into these sorts of areas here, and same with this winger over here, sort of being inverted, sort of coming into the pockets of space and sort of really trying to attack. Now, we look at this from my point of view. Okay, so this is how we line up. Now, our goalie, again, in that game, was someone who is not a sweeper. She didn't like to play with the ball, so it's sort of like she sort of sit around her area, and that was sort of it, really. But then we had a pacey young. On this side we had a fairly young player, 20 years old, playing on this side. As a left full-back. She could also play centre-back, but you've also got our right-back in that game, who, was a little bit up and down, right to get on the ball. But the main place that we caused a threat was this sort of triangle space in here. Now we had our main striker in here. She would often come in and pick up the ball. She liked to do that. And this other striker here would also have the tendency to pick up the ball, but would often sort of try and find her space into this box here. So that was really sort of, and the way we've set up is almost with a little bit to counteract this sort of deal here, and sort of the way they're trying to go. We know that when they're attacking, these players push up. The 9 comes into here. This 8 was playing here. This 7 was in here. So we knew if we picked up the ball at the back, that what we had to do was get our 9, the girl who liked to come in here, into this space, bearing in mind the 6 was up here, in here. Okay, so she pushes up. What you then do is our 10 would then drift in, almost around that 8, to drag. And then what that was doing in that game was actually dragging their number 6 player into the same area, which would then give space for our 11 to step out. Our 5 would then play it out to the 3. They'd all start to shuffle across. Okay, so they'd shuffle across. Keeper would step back a little bit. Now, she wasn't a player who wanted the ball. 5 would drop off. It would go to the 5, to the keeper. The 4 would drop into the gap. The centre-back would drop into the gap. It would come into here, and it would come into here. Then we've played round their press. We've played round sort of their area. As I mentioned before, pacey wing-back that's not quite as quick, but she would step up. The 7 would come back in here. This 10, again, would come in, sort of come here, knowing there's a little pressure, a little 1, and a little 1-2, and make that run back up. So then you've got our 11 on the ball. She's looking to play, and she's looking to turn. So our 6 steps up. Our 4 steps up. Our 5, who was here, now steps up. The keeper would stay sort of there. And our 8, who drops all the way back, would sort of find her space sort of in here. So you then get this player here. You've got 11 here. They then realise they've got to track back. So 9 times out of 10, their 6 would come on our 7 there. And what we were doing is their 8 would then come back in here. Their 9 would be here. But we'd notice they'd still keep this high sort of attacking line. So they'd create these space. They'd be looking to then exploit us up here. But as you can see, we've got 7 here. Yes, she's marked. You've got 10. You've got the 9. Yeah, you got the 9 here. And you got the 11 who's on the ball. Right? So you got a player that was originally out wide. Or well, no, the player that, yeah, this sort of player who was originally sort of in this sort of space. What we were then doing and how we got our first goal, we've gone 1-0 down. You know, I'm not going to go too much into that detail, but how we've then recovered is using this sort of to our advantage. Like I say, the 7, when she was on the ball here, the 7 dropped out here. So what that does is push the 2 back, which then ultimately pushes the goalie back because she sees the line there. You see that the player comes into this box. She's dropped off, she's dropped off, she has even dropped off. Now, when you see that, 6 has come out here. Their number 6 has come out wide on R7. The 8 has come back in towards R10. 7's pushed back, 9's pushed back. The 10 and the 11 sort of come in here. So you can already see the space that we've created, and sort of even when they've defended, they've gone quite defensive. They've gone into this sort of space. These two are sort of marking the same player. Now that's quite clever tactically if this ball doesn't go out here. This ball went out here. You've then left this massive gap here. And what we were looking at is exploiting this space here. So the 11 comes out. The 11's here. So what she does is the 2 comes here, or our fullback comes here. They think there. They think that ball's going in there. It's either the keeper collects, the 3 blocks is out, 3 blocks out for a corner, or the 3 collects and it comes out. But what actually happened, or they expect, or the, like I say, the 4's there, head away. But even the way we've set up, even here, because the where the 7 is hasn't tracked our 11. Even if that gets headed there, she's free and can have a shot goal. But the way that we've done it is 2's come out here, has looked to attack, and rather than her cross the ball into these areas, and like I say, where it could potentially be picked up, she's pulled the ball back. Now, of course, like I said, the 11 has now got the space to hit it. What our 9 then does is notice that she's going to hit it. Obviously, she's onside. She's been played onside by the 3. The 9 then drops ever so slightly into that vision. So what that then does is that leaves the 5 in that game was then left here. So it gives her more of a shot, and then she shot and she had the goal. Right, so you see how that worked and how the break-up play and sort of how we played in that game. That is how that worked. If we look at it, so that is our equaliser. If we set back up, defensively, so we go back into our sort of if we go back into our spaces, 2 comes back up. Obviously their 11 and their 10 were staying high, so they were sort of tucking in to these half spaces here. So they were sort of here. I'm not going to really, their goal, I'm not really going to talk you through it, but their goal comes through this half space. So that's why we were doing the sort of things that you said. We mentioned R6 is then back in here, in this little space here. R8 is then back in here. Okay, so R8 comes back in here. R11 at this point is playing out here in this little pocket. R10, like I say, is the main striker. So then we're sort of, for the second goal, in these sorts of spaces. So you've got their 9, typically picking up this sort of space. The 7, sort of in here, this sort of space, sort of on R10. Now, what they started doing is, after that, they started playing a little bit more like this. So they're a little bit further up. They're a little bit more in this space. They're sort of like, this is sort of their shape. And how our second goal comes in this game is you can see here, their number 2 picks up the ball. Now, instantly, what the tactics and the way I set up for that cup final, that summer cup final, was you get in there. Once she gets in there, I want my striker in this sort of pocket here. Yes, you got 4 there, but that's sort of, they're more concerned about her. The 8 pushes up, blocks off this area here. 11 comes into this space. The 11 comes into here. My 9 comes into there. And I know, obviously, the numbers aren't traditional, but those were the numbers that they had in the back. My centre-back comes My one centre-back comes up here. She's the player I want to attack the ball. My other centre-back would sit here and sweep. My 3 comes up here. My 2 sits just in behind. So she'd come back in. We then come in there. Now 4, now she would step up. So she'd almost double up on them. These 2 are offside, and that's how it looks. So they've tried to play the ball. She's lumped it into this space. Boom, picked up by our 6. Now you're then looking at, well, how did sort of Helston set up against us? Now the 10 and the 11 have gone narrow, which has caused our 4 to drop off a little bit here. Keeper's dropped off a little bit, but our 5 still stays high in front of the 2. Their 7 notices this space, which then creates a little bit of space in here. The 8 notices a little bit of space, so she's blocked off that pass. But what they haven't done is account for this. Our ball goes into there, it goes into there. The 6 then decides to drop off and stay with our 8. The 5 has then dropped, the 4 has then dropped, the 3 has almost come back in to make a 3 at the back. And like I say, the ball's here. So our 10 comes into that space. They think she's occupied, which is really, really clever defensively, because they think they've got 3. But what happens is this ball then goes out there. You see the runners here. Our 11 comes in. Our 6 stays in that sort of area that we scored our first goal from. The 2 drops back. The 7 pushes. And what's actually happened here is this ball's gone over the top, it's been headed, and it's come back into this space. Now what we've done is, obviously we got a 7 up here. The 3 has come over, our fullback has come into this space and really has picked up the ball. Now you can see our little shape here, and you can see the way we're sort of lined up. Our 2 has now stepped up. We've now come in like that. Our 2's out here. Okay, so she's created that space, which ultimately, look, yes, we're out defense, but the 8 has to come back in here. The 7 has to come back in here. She's dropped in, and then it's a 2v2 here. Now, you never set up, I never set up like this, because it causes chances to be defended. So you have one player who comes in and attack, one person who sort of sweeps, and then you've got a goalkeeper there. Not that, you know, our goalkeeper there should anything go wrong. So what's come in here is this ball. She's almost come out. This ball has gone into here. It's then, the 4 has then tried to attack it. The 10 has spun, not taken the shot, pulled it back for the 11, and the 11 scores the goal. So you see the tactics that we were sort of playing up and the way that we sort of tried to play. What it does create is a little bit of a fluid possession. A little bit of players may sometimes, as you can see, players here sort of out their starting positions sort of moved out the way. And it does create a threat. If I was playing, some managers would stop this. They say the keeper collected that. I would then, if I was playing against us, I would then stick that ball on there, push those up and play that way. And then she's got a chance to go through and score. But that's not how we set up. So, look, it's a little bit of a different video. I know it's a little bit all about the possession and all about how we can create the sort of triangles or the squares to sort of keep possession. So as you can see here, triangle, triangle, triangle. You could probably even call that a triangle. Well, that's more of a square in here. You've got the triangles. You've got a triangle there. You've got a triangle there. And then you've got even. Sometimes this will come out and be a triangle like this. So we're playing round. So we're always looking to play in the triangles, always looking to play in here. And basically, at the end of the game, you know, it was well fought, well competed, and it ended up being a draw. Ended up being a win for us, and we won the Summer Cup. Just through doing those sorts of things, looking at those movements, looking at those bits on the ball, those little bits of possession, how we could exploit those spaces, how we could, we didn't really use the half spaces. We were sort of exploiting them, trying to use the half spaces, and sort of like trying to build. And it was really, really important for us. And, you know, like I say, it paid off. And that was now that was sort of how we've played in this game. Now, I really hope you've enjoyed this like sort of little different tactical view into my sort of insight and tactics in the Summer Cup final of 2022, and sort of how I won my second trophy as a manager. The next video that will be out is my cup final tactics. It'll be less of a masterclass style video. It'll just be the standard sort of tactical video. But yeah, I was really sort of impressed. Very proud of the girls. We went on to win. Like I say, we went on to win the trophy. My second trophy as a manager. My first trophy in charge of the first team. So it was really was it first team? Yeah, my first trophy in charge of that group of girls anyway, at that club. And it was really, really good. It was really, really enjoyable. And I hope you've enjoyed this little insight into my tactics in that cup final. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please let me know if you like this kind of content, because I like talking about tactics and build-up play and philosophy and all that. So please let me know if you enjoy it. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I really do thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching this video and looking into my tactics and my style.